Greetings from the city of brotherly love. I am Fernando Mendez, host of the Roundtable. We invite you to listen to our discussion of the themes of the day when we bring you regional, national, and international news. Señores oyentes de Usa la Radio, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, The Roundtable, desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal, from the city of brotherly love. Les habla Fernando Méndez, nuestra invitada especial el día de hoy, Meredith Klein.
Hola Fernando,
Bienvenida,
gracias por
welcome.
invitarme.
And Danny Ramos directing the process here. So, Meredith, for those of you who have not heard about the Tango School of Philadelphia, here we have the founder, director, I don't know what else we can say.
That's it.
You're
That's
the
it.
dancer par excellence.
You just make stuff up, Fernando. No, I really appreciate your having me. Thank you. I miss Usala. I love Usala.
Well, you had your program here in Usala. We miss you. So maybe you'll come back.
That would be great.
Soon.
Tango Stories, it was called.
Tango Stories.
Yeah.
So, yes. And actually, I was doing a lot of walking around the 10,000 steps a day, and I was listening to Tango Stories a lot of the time. I was great interviews, terrific music. I got to meet great people through that too, Maestro Messier. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So, Meredith, one of the main reasons you are with us today is because we have things happening after this, the tremendous impact of COVID on your life, my life, everybody's life.
Everybody's lives.
And especially with tango and your activities.
Yeah.
So tell us where we are with this.
Absolutely. Well, of course, tango was particularly affected by COVID because when we dance tango, we dance extremely close to one another. Very often when we're social dancing, we actually have our faces touching. So, we kind of never imagined in the tango community that an infectious disease like COVID was in our future. And it really shut things down around the world for more than a year. Mm-hmm. More than a year. It's been different in different places, and different communities have come back at different times. And actually now some communities are experiencing lockdowns again, especially in Europe. Right. So right now, obviously Buenos Aires is the cradle of tango. It's where tango was born, and it's still the worldwide center of tango. Buenos Aires experienced one of the longest lockdowns in the world. But since about September, October, the tango scene has been back circulating there right now. And right now the numbers are pretty good in terms of COVID. And it's, of course, it's the warm season. It's almost summer. And everything is happening, all the milongas, which are social dances, all of the orchestras playing, everything happening. So that's very exciting. And here in Philadelphia, we've been offering activities again since June. So over the summer, we held a beautiful festival to celebrate the centennial of the composer Astor Piazzolla. And we've been, back with our regular classes and milongas, social dance events, concerts, everything. So we're very grateful. And we're taking the opportunity to celebrate International Tango Day, which is actually this Saturday, December 11th. So that's tomorrow, December 11th, in the whole world. Tango is celebrated because it was the birthday of both Carlos Gardel, the very famous tango singer and movie star eventually, who died tragically young.
He died in Medellin, Colombia. Actually.
Exactly. It was your fault.
Hey, wait a minute. I was not even born at that.
Okay, sorry. I just got carried away with the Colombia connection.
Yeah, we get blamed for everything. It's really, parentheses here, it's one of those things that it has happened anytime there's a mention of crime, drugs involved.
Fernando, it's you.
Or these television shows, it's like Colombia. It's like, wait a minute. Wow. Colombia is also well known for Garcia Marquez. So
yes, and also well known as one of the early adopters of tango outside of Argentina.
Tango was very popular and still popular in Colombia.
Yeah. I know you grew up listening to tango.
Yes, I did. Carlos Gardel, Agustin Magaldi, all these fantastic
So December 11th, which is tomorrow, is the day, is el Día Internacional del Tango. And
So
it's-
how are these celebrations organized? Like,
we're having an entire little festivalito, a little
Okay.
festival.
okay,
Yeah, with the way things are, with, at any point not knowing where the COVID numbers are going to be and everything, it's really hard for me to rent huge venues like I used to do all the time. So I decided to hold a big event, but hold it in the studio of the Philadelphia Argentine Tango School, so that it reduces the expenses. It allows us to kind of do more with less. Right now, because of the situation, everybody has to be vaccinated. They have to submit proof of full vaccination in order to attend.
is this
But
open to the public right now?
It is open to the public, and actually people can walk in. They just need to have their vaccination card ready at the door, and they should walk in with a mask until we check their card. Masks are actually optional after that, but we need to make sure everybody's fully vaccinated because of the situation, and because what we do is so close, as I've
Right.
already said. So we start tonight. We actually start tonight with the festivalito, and anything I'm about to say, you can get all the details at philadelphiatangoschool.com. So if you go there, you'll see right on the homepage information about the festival. It starts tonight at 7:30 p.m. with a piano recital by really the greatest tango pianist alive, Pablo Estigarribia. Just, absolutely amazing performer. He really loves the compositions, arrangements, and style of playing of a pianist who died a few years ago, Horacio Salgan. And what he did was, a couple of years ago, Pablo, that we're going to hear tonight, he unearthed a live recording, literally the only solo tango piano recital that anyone knows of that Horacio Salgan gave in his life. And there's like one bootleg recording, which Pablo got a hold of. And he spent 2 years transcribing all of those recordings, re-recording them, and also releasing them as a book so that tango pianists can read this music and play this music that otherwise you would have no way to play unless you're a genius like Pablo and you can write down every note, which
Right.
none of us can.
So is this available for purchase?
You can, yes. So you can go to pabloestigarribia.com, and I'm going to spell that because there's like so many letters there.
Estigarribia?
Yeah.
Yeah, Latinos will understand Estigarribia.
pabloestigarribia.com, and you can buy the transcriptions, you can buy the album, you can also listen on Spotify and I think on iTunes and other places to the album itself, and then decide if you want to buy the transcriptions. So he's going to give a solo piano recital tonight at 7:30 p.m. And it's really special because of who he is, because of the content, which is, it's kind of like a first ever. And also because this concert was supposed to have been performed in April 2020. So this was one of the first sit-down concerts, like of our concert series, which is called the Fishtown Salon.
So you had programmed this concert already?
Yeah, this was the first canceled concert. We had a lot of other canceled events, as you know, and as you can imagine. But in terms of the concert series, like not dancing, but just sitting down and listening to music, this was kind of one of the first of the, post-shutdown things that got, just didn't happen. So finally, this thing that's been planned for more than 2 years is happening tonight. And then after that, we're tango dancers. So people can come and just sit down and listen to the concert, and it's amazing. But after the concert, we'll have a milonga, a social dance.
Great.
And we have a wonderful Turkish DJ, Barak I can never say his last name, Barak Özkosem, who's really world famous. And he'll be DJing tonight, which is very special.
That's great. But it's amazing, speaking about interrupting the flow of your events in 2020. It looks like we were watching a video, and all of a sudden everything froze in place.
Yeah.
For so many things.
Yeah.
The whole U.S. economy, the restaurants that all of a sudden stopped serving. Many of them disappeared. Your company, you suffered tremendous losses.
We suffered tremendous losses, but we also only allowed ourselves to be frozen for about a couple days. So in terms of income, yes. I mean, we had I had to cancel over $100,000 of events in one day, just canceling our 10th anniversary festival, which would have happened in May 2020, and also a tango tour to Buenos Aires, which I was about to leave when the shutdown happened. Just that was $100,000 in income, and then everything else. But, I realized quickly that, there's the problem of supporting oneself and paying for the studio, but there's also just the problem of hope and belief that we could get through the pandemic, get through the shutdown, that tango could still survive. Because like I said, we danced so close that once you put the idea of such a disease as COVID in your head, it's like, well, is tango even going to exist anymore? Like, are people still going to do that?
Right.
So within a couple days, a friend said, a friend who had recently given a lecture for my school on the history of Buenos Aires. He's a professor at SUNY Purchase, Leandro Benmergui, from Buenos Aires, but living in New York. He said, let's do that lecture again, but online. And
what an idea.
And so we started with that as early as March 2020. We were already doing lectures online. And very quickly, my dance partner said, I have the setup here. We can set this up to start teaching. And by, the same month we were teaching. And basically lectures, classes for individuals, classes for couples, concerts, showing films through Zoom, a whole concert series that we now still organize, Tango en la Terraza, where we record and edit exquisite concerts by some of the greatest tango musicians and dancers alive in Buenos Aires with 4 cameras. And we still show those monthly. So all of this was spawned.
So you had to retool your whole operation
completely,
in a way.
Utterly.
Utterly. New way of doing things. I don't know, you're probably familiar with 1812 Theater, Jenny Childs.
Yeah, of course.
And Scott Greer. I mean, Jen, I just had Jen on the show recently talking about that also, and the fact that they changed, their whole presentation, doing it on video for everybody to be available for everybody. So
yeah.
Well,
I have more to tell you about this weekend's event, but you can tell me when to do that.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. We'll continue with this conversation. We're here in Úsala Radio, the Roundtable, La Mesa Redonda. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Estamos en compañía de Meredith Klein, la directora, fundadora, artista, bailadora, de todo. Y regresamos en un momento aquí en La Mesa Redonda.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
Toma menos de 1 minuto saber si está usted en riesgo de padecer prediabetes. Puede averiguarlo aquí. Visite esta página.
Señores oyentes de Úsala Radio, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Roundtable, desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal, en compañía de Meredith Klein, de la Escuela de Tango de Philadelphia Tango School. Meredith and I are talking about the COVID and the interruption of tango and how she has come back to do her job again. And now she has some music. Meredith, you have some...
Absolutely. So we were just talking about the amazing pianist Pablo Estigarribia, who's going to give a concert tonight at the Philadelphia Argentine Tango School. I'll play you a little snippet from his latest album.
Great.
Yeah. So yes, people can hear that on Spotify, on iTunes. They just have to be able to spell Estigarribia, Pablo Estigarribia.
Okay, let's spell it.
Yeah?
Come on. Yeah, you can do that.
Oh, but I didn't practice for that.
Come on, you can.
So well, Pablo, everybody can spell Pablo, and his website is Pablo Estigarribia. Estigarribia is Estigarribia. PabloEstigarribia.com, or you can look him up on Spotify or on iTunes. And, why even do that? Just come to the Philadelphia Argentine Tango School tonight, bring your Vax card, and come hear an amazing recital by this truly world-renowned tango pianist.
So you are a piano player yourself. You're a pianist, right? A trained pianist? Or at least I know you play the piano, so I don't know what your training is in that aspect.
Yes, yeah, I trained from the time I was like 6 to 22, and then it's been certainly on and off since then.
So you can speak professionally about this, interpreter. So
yes,
why is he so good? What makes him so good, Estigarribia?
Well, like many tango pianists, he came from a classical background, so he has all the virtuosity and all the chops. And then he passed through studying jazz and then moved to tango. And he has a way of combining the virtuosity of classical music, some of the sensibility and the kind of the accompaniments of jazz, and melding that into a really compelling modern style for tango that is really amazing. So, and as you know, it's very common for tango to be played in a trio, a quartet, a full orquesta típica of 10 musicians. And when that happens, the piano has a more limited role. The piano definitely provides the rhythm, holds everyone together, plays fills, like adorns the spaces between phrases, and sometimes takes the lead as well. In a minority of the time, maybe playing the melody or kind of being in the foreground. But it's really, 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 really hard to do all of that all the time on one instrument. So a pianist who can, speak the entire orchestra just by his or herself is very special. And that's Pablo.
Amazing. Well, we'll go back to talk a little bit more about the piano in particular, but tango music in general. But I don't want to forget that you have a purpose today. You want to talk about some events that are going on and future events for your tango company.
Yeah, so and we have a whole festival going on this weekend, and so far I only talked about what's happening today. What's happening tomorrow is really, really exciting. It's International Tango Day, like I said, and because of that, I asked really the first Orquesta Típica, the first complete tango orchestra that formed after, there was a period of time when tango was almost dead, especially for tango dancing, starting in the late 1950s, the popularity of tango dance started to not just decline, but kind of fall off a cliff. And that was a process that went through a lot of periods, but you could say that the military dictatorship in Argentina from 1976 to 83 to 1983, that was kind of the nail in the coffin, because things were most dangerous and worst in the city. And when the streets are very dangerous, you don't want to go out at night. You don't want to go out and get together with people and dance and have fun. It wasn't really a part of life anymore. It wasn't a possibility. So even though that's not what killed tango, like tango was declining for a very long time until then, that was kind of the end of a process. And
there's a whole generation that lost interest in tango.
Absolutely, yeah. It maybe even two generations, honestly.
Yeah.
So the fact that then tango was reborn, and a lot of that had to do with the show Tango Argentino that started to travel the world in the 1980s.
And Forever Tango was another.
Forever Tango came after, but these shows, like everywhere they went, people who already had some sort of dance experience, or not, even people who didn't dance, fell in love. They really fell in love with tango. And during that period of time, the 1980s to 90s, and continuing through today, just tango communities sprung up all over the world, all over the US, all over Europe, all over Asia.
Yeah, Tango Argentino played here in Philly, at the Annenberg Center.
Wow.
and I had a chance to.
Yeah.
In fact, I
And
saw
you were there.
five
So
nights.
you should be dancing tango
There were
now.
5 nights of I
You
went
went
every
all
night.
5 nights. That's the kind of response that it inspired.
Yes.
And for you, you already love tango and you already listened and you kept listening. But a lot of people were inspired to dance, to start tango
Yes.
communities. And those tango communities, they kept existing. They still exist, even though, March 2020 and the pandemic threw a big wrench in all of them. But, that process started because of Tango Argentino and continued until the pandemic started.
Was this a 10-piece orchestra you introduced with Maestro Messier? Is that the one you're alluding to, or is there another?
Yeah, sorry, I'm going backwards. So the first tango orchestra that appeared in this new wave was Orquesta El Arranque. Maybe you've heard of them, and they're
Yes.
celebrating their 25th anniversary this year. So they all live in Buenos Aires. They're from Buenos Aires. They're still in Buenos Aires now because it's still very difficult to travel.
Right.
Because, for example, the U.S. consulate, the U.S. embassy in Argentina was closed down for so long that nobody could do the interview that's part of the visa process. It's very hard for people to travel now and to have the visas they need to travel. So I asked El Arranque if they would play a live stream concert, and they set it up with the best recording and now recording streaming studio, Dr. F in Buenos Aires, and they will play live for Philadelphia and the world tomorrow.
Wow.
Saturday, December 11th, right? Goosebumps. So there will simultaneously be people dancing to their music in milongas, in social dances, in Philadelphia, in Tel Aviv, and in Napoli. It should have been many more countries, but because of the lockdowns, because of the COVID situation in Germany and Denmark, and we had a lot of milongas have to pull out and not participate. But because of that, we decided to open up the event to the world, and you can actually register for free to get the live stream directly to your home.
And how do we register?
You
Because
can do that.
Now I'm interested.
Yes, well, I will be sure to send you the link. But you can go to PhiladelphiaTangoSchool.com, and actually right on the homepage, I'm checking it out here. Right on the homepage, you see a lot of information about Festivalito, this event that this is all part of. And there's a place where you can register to watch the El Arranque live stream from home, a big link. You click that, fill out a Google form, and you will immediately be sent the YouTube unlisted link. And if you're going to do it, that's so cool. If you're going to do it, make sure that you set up with a good speaker system. Don't just use your computer speakers or your phone speakers, but set it up with your home stereo system. Maybe you can use an HDMI cable and put it on your big TV. Over New Year's last year, when everybody was locked down, I ran an 11-hour event like this, where we just had one orchestra after another performing, and people who put it up on 7-foot TVs said, "Oh my gosh, it still looks perfect."
Yes.
So you can really make it feel like you're there.
Right. And especially, tango music, where you just play that little bit of piano, it to me, because of my nostalgia for tango, it sort of really gets you emotionally.
Yeah.
It touches something.
Yes.
Tango is that way. There's a sentimental.
It's full of
aspect to
emotion.
tango. Yeah.
Full of emotion.
Yeah.
One of them.
Edgar Allan Poe said that nostalgia is the most legitimate poetic sentiment.
Oh wow.
And so there you are.
Well, and that is the foremost emotion in tango, nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because at the time that tango emerged, and then between then and the 1950s that I was talking about, the city of Buenos Aires changed so rapidly, so completely, that if you were living in it at that time, the place of your childhood, it disappeared. There's a lot of tangos about, here I am in my house, at my house, playing on my street, and at the end of my street is pampas, is open plains, and it's grass, and it's trees, and it's brooks, and everything. It's the countryside is right there. And then with every passing month or year, the city just expanded. And so, this particular environment that you lived in as a kid, it just doesn't even exist anymore. Now you're in the middle of a metropolis.
Yes.
And so a lot of the nostalgia is from that primary crazy experience
And
of.
you can hear it in some lyrics of some of the tango.
Oh yeah.
Arrabal, y ajaparé de mi arrabal. So, and you can hear that sort
Absolutely.
of missing. They miss where they grew up, or the neighborhood that changed.
And then, of course, that gets all tied up with first love, all the relationships that one didn't value and let them go, and regrets the rest of one's life. That's a very big theme in tango.
Yes.
And of course, I mean, it's very interesting because when we're dancing tango, we're not feeling those. We feel a whole range of emotion. It's an improvised dance, and one never knows what's going to happen. So every time you go into an embrace, you have a new experience, and you have to open yourself to that, to be there in that moment. And that sense of presence that we not only need, but we cultivate by being tango dancers, like people who meditate do, like yogis do, this ability to increasingly be in the present. And in the case of tango, to be in the present with another person. It's very special because our lives, all of our devices and everything, they just keep taking us away from that experience of presence. But when you are in the present like that, you don't just experience nostalgia, you experience all of these emotions, joy and sadness and wistfulness and surprise. And, so it's quite interesting that the music has that sense of overweening nostalgia, but our experience as dancers is actually multivalent. It's many different emotions, but very.
Yeah, there is joy in the dance itself.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Tremendous.
I mean the miracle of moving and doing, eventually, very complicated and musically very fine-tuned movements in total improvisation, in a totally led and followed situation, with a stranger sometimes, with someone you don't know their name, you don't speak the same language. The ability of humans to come together in that way, it is a miracle. And, a lot of us get hooked on tango because we perceive that, but the sense that this is something magical and very special, it doesn't go away. It just deepens with time.
So, Meredith, we're going to take another brief pause here in USA la Radio. Estamos en compañía de Meredith Klein here in la mesa redonda de Roundtable. Está Dani Ramos controlando la máquina digital. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Regresamos en un momento.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Once there was a boy who did the same thing again and again. One day, he was told he had autism. He got help and slowly learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Señoras oyentes de USA la Radio, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, The Roundtable, desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal, en donde se celebra el tango esta noche y mañana. Está Dani Ramos controlando la máquina digital. Nos visita nuestra amiga.
Gime, gime el viento y es un lánguido lamento su canción de mí. Gime y el murmullo de las hojas trae voces del ayer. Feliz, ha vuelto dulce miel, ha vuelto junto a mí y el aire me acaricia como un beso. Gime, gime el viento retornando que el momento del adiós fatal y una ansia de gritar se trunca en llanto y tan solo se gemir amor, amor, volveré.
So we were just listening to El Arranque, this orchestra that's celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, that will be playing by live stream from Buenos Aires for us tomorrow. If you're coming to join us at the Philadelphia Tango School, the event starts at 4 p.m. But if you're just going to tune in online, the live stream will start later than that. So it'll start at 5 p.m. Philadelphia time, which is 7 p.m. in Buenos Aires. It turns out to be 11 p.m. if you're in most of Europe, and it is midnight if you are in Israel, Fernando. And we were listening, we have people registered who are going to be watching with us from Australia, from India, from all over Europe, from Asia, from all over the place. It's so cool.
Well, we're proud to be part of this promotion for you.
Thank you for that. And I need to mention the beautiful, amazing voice that we just heard, who for me he's the greatest tango singer alive, and he's a good friend. His name is Juan Villarreal. And he's the longtime singer of El Arranque. He's been with them for 10 or 11 years, and he'll be performing with them tomorrow in the live stream. Really special, really amazing.
From Buenos Aires.
Yes, and not only that, but we are currently processing his first visa, and he will be performing in Philadelphia live for the first time in history from June 2nd to 5th at our Philadelphia Tango Festival, along with his longtime collaborator, Patricio Krom, who is one of the greatest tango guitarists in history, just amazing. They have a duo that is actually celebrating 11 years, the duo Villarreal-Krom, and they will be here at the festival performing live in Philadelphia, both concerts. So even people who don't dance, you can come and enjoy this concert, and they'll also play for people to dance to in separate events.
Wow. So, Meredith, I would yield the microphones to you at that point, and you can have a whole show about tango with these people who are coming.
Yeah, we'll bring them in. We will absolutely bring them in. Not only that, we're going to have more than 20 different artists, so we can fill up a whole week for you.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because it helps us to promote you, but I mean, what a service to the community, because there's a lot of Argentines in Philadelphia. We have a large Argentine community.
We do. And I don't know, there's something about tango that it really appeals to people from all over. It's a really common thing that in any particular tango community in the world, there's tons of expats, tons of people who are living somewhere that they weren't born.
I have to say something. I have to give you credit, because you are pretty much responsible for the rebirth of that interest in this region, not only in Philly, but I mean New York, I think on the East Coast, as far as I know.
There've been really strong tango dance communities in New York and Philly, and all over the U.S. really, as well as all over the world for many years. Like the Philadelphia tango community is, I think, over 25 years old. But what we're doing with live music, with bringing tango musicians back into the same spaces and into intimate contact with tango dancers, really trying to rebuild the idea that it's not enough to dance to recordings from the 1930s through 50s, which is most of what we do. Like most all over the world, if you go to a tango dance, you're going to mostly exclusively be listening to recordings from the 1930s to 50s. It's just a frozen moment in time. And that music is exquisite. It's so beautiful, which is why we can keep dancing to it. But it's not enough. We need new tango compositions. We need to support the tango musicians who are playing, who are composing, who are arranging, who are pushing tango into the future. And we have to go with them as dancers. We can't stay in the 30s while tango's moving on to the 2030s. Like it's ridiculous. Right. So that's my particular contribution, and that's what I'm working so hard on. And I have to say that we are so supported. We have so many people. The problem with live tango music is that we can't get in at an event the cost of bringing this music to people. And there's not, there are not foundations that want to give to tango music, tango dance. So we really have a network of donors, both in Philadelphia and around the country, that supports these activities and makes them possible. And it's really amazing and moving.
Maybe with this $1 trillion money that's coming down the pike, there'll be a little trickle down to tango along the way.
Yeah, I think tango is definitely crucial infrastructure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we should tell them. Because it puts a lot of people to work.
We'll build some roads.
the 10-piece orchestra that you introduced, Maestro Messier,
Yeah.
I think that, are they still active in this?
They will be
moment?
again. They will
Yes.
be again. We suffered a real tragedy, which is that the first bandoneonist of the orchestra passed away from COVID. Raúl Jaurena, born in Uruguay, he would have turned 80 years old this January, I think. We lost him a year ago in January of this year, almost a year. And it's a real blow. He lived in northern New Jersey for 20 or more years, so he really contributed enormously to the growth of tango in this region. And he came to play in my studio many times. And he was, for example, Astor Piazzolla, whom you know. Astor Piazzolla said that Raúl Jaurena was one of the greatest bandoneonists ever.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
quite a tribute.
Yes. And he was the only person like that living in this region, you know? So he drove so much of the interest in tango. He also composed tango, he produced shows, he was a real driver and of everything related to tango. And we were so lucky that, he wanted to be part of, he loved Emiliano. Emiliano loved him. He loved Emiliano, the Maestro Messias, Emiliano Messias, the founder and director of the orchestra. And Raúl was the first bandoneon, as most of you know. Oh, look, I'm really big there. As most of you know, the bandoneon is the signature instrument of tango. It's what really gives tango its sound. It looks like an accordion, but it's not.
Right.
It has buttons on both sides, and its sound is quite different.
It's a quite complex instrument too.
We can definitely talk about that, but yes, it's
Yes.
yes. I won't go into that now, but yes,
No.
it's nearly impossible to learn.
Yes.
So when you lose a bandoneonist of that stature, it's a loss for the entire world.
Absolutely. Yeah. One day we'll have a whole show just on about the instruments.
Of course,
and the
yeah.
piano and the bandoneon.
Yeah.
Because tango was also initially famous by the guitar players that they did. I remember.
Exactly. And this
so-
singer that we just heard,
Yeah.
Juan Villarreal,
Mhm.
he's a guitarist singer. And with Patricio Crom, that I already mentioned, who's a, amazing tango guitarist and tango guitarist.
Right.
You can look him up on YouTube. He was part of the, what is it called? The Classical Guitar Salon. He was the only tango guitarist ever to be invited to be part of this classical guitar series, which you can
Wow.
look up on YouTube. Patricio Crom, C-R-O-M. Anyways, together, part of their mission is to bring the history of tango guitar back to people's awareness. And in fact, today or tomorrow, we're finishing an album called D'Arienzo and Guitarras. D'Arienzo, the
Right.
orchestra that is most beloved by dancers, that performed from the 1930s through 70s.
Yeah, it's
Juan
one of the most
D'Arienzo?
famous orchestras.
Absolutely. So yeah, thanks to two very generous donors, we were able to get the money together to record that album in Buenos Aires.
Wow.
And I think today it goes to mastering. So it's not available yet, but very, very soon you're going to be able to buy that on all the platforms.
Wow, that's terrific.
And they're going to be presenting that in Philadelphia at the festival June 2nd to 5th. So
And so-
that'll be amazing.
Whose production is this? This recording.
I think I'm one of the producers.
But that's what.
And-
that-
yeah,
that's what I
and Juan Villarreal,
Right.
vocalist, guitarist, and Patricio Crom, guitarist.
Because that's what I mean. You've
Yeah.
been one of the biggest promoters of tango that I know,
Yeah,
and especially
this
right-
thing of
right here in
producing
Philly.
things is new because of the pandemic.
right.
Previously, I produced events, I taught, I performed, I ran a tango school. But then when so many of the real life things couldn't happen, then we got pretty creative. And we also produced with my friend Oliver Kolker, amazing dancer and tango producer. We released an album by the bandoneonist Lisandro Adrover,
Mhm.
who's one of the most famous bandoneonists,
That's another well-known
Also,
name. Yes.
arrangers. So when you talk about Forever Tango, he composed and arranged all the music.
Wow.
Composed and or arranged all the music for Forever Tango, and he was part of Tango Argentino. So you can also hear that. We released that a year ago. It's called Bandoneon Soliloquy, because at that time, when we recorded it about a year and a half ago, everybody was locked down. Nobody could play with anyone. So
that
it's a
was-
solo bandoneon album by Lisandro Adrover, and that's also available in all the platforms.
So it's literally a soliloquy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
Any hopes of a tour like Forever Tango or Tango Argentino that went around?
Yeah, I mean, I think the coolest thing is that there are now musicians and dancers of sufficient caliber that there are really nice shows being produced out of New York and such. Like it's not only international touring shows, but now like there was one I think called Souls of Tango that was just produced in New York. So very often they'll have to import a couple of musicians from Buenos Aires, but just with mostly with musicians living here and dancers living in the U.S., people are producing some really nice shows, which are happening locally or regionally, but are also excellent. So that's a new development.
That's great.
Yeah.
I would love to see another group come by. In fact, many more groups to come by and show us the Argentine dance.
Yeah.
It's a terrific spectacle. It's a great, very entertaining.
Yeah, and for us, tango shows are interesting and wonderful, but you can just go to a milonga, a tango dance, and you can watch 50, 100, 200 people dancing, improvising, and you see teenagers, and we have many octogenarians in our community dancing. You see everybody in between.
Right.
You see women dancing with women, men dancing with men. You see tradition, male-female couples like there always were, but you just see this variety of tango experience. People from all over the world, different body types. I mean, it's not just put on a dress with a very high slit and kick the ceiling, which is what you often will see on stage.
Right.
But when you really see people actually dancing tango in a social environment, it's unbelievably moving. And it's very inspiring to know that this is a dance form that, I know that you're only like 25 or something, but like it's not too late for you to pick it up. And people start dancing in their 70s.
I'm ancient. I know I can still pick it up.
And the reason is that it's based on walking, and so it's very different than other dance forms that require like a base level of athleticism. Tango is based on walking, and everyone, if you're able to walk, you can learn to dance tango.
We'll continue this conversation. Señores oyentes de Usa la Radio, están escuchando la mesa redonda de Roundtable. Les habla Fernando Mendez en compañía de Meredith Klein. No se vayan, regresamos en un momento.
You ever had this food before, or it's like the first time you were here?
Yes,
couple times.
A couple times.
Yep.
Yes.
So what do you order right now? Which one?
We got the chicken tikka masala
Yeah, I got the
and the butter masala.
Oh, so the Indian and Pakistani food is a little bit spicy.
Yeah.
So you tolerate the spice or everything?
I like spice, but we got the mild.
Oh, okay. So it's
I can do spice.
and you?
Yeah,
like
I
spice?
mean, I can somewhat handle spice. Not too much, so that's why I got the mild.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Señoras oyentes de Usa la Radio, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Roundtable desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Mendez en compañía de Meredith Klein, directora, fundadora, bailarina del tango. Meredith.
So we were just listening to El Arranque, the orchestra that's going to perform by live stream tomorrow. And we were listening to the song El Arranque, so the song after which they are named.
Well, the arranque in Spanish, means start.
Yeah.
And so is that because el arranque was like a rebirth of tango? Is that what
I don't, certainly in retrospect, you can say that, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was the motivation of the orchestra or if they were so identified with the song that they took it as their banner. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I could change the name of my show to put it El Arranque. Welcome to El Arranque.
Absolutely. But the Roundtable, La Mesa Redonda.
I like round. Except people pick on me because they said the table is not round, la mesa no es redonda.
It's rounded.
Es ovalada.
It is rounded.
No,
it's an
you have
oval.
no idea how long
You could be
been answering those questions about the round table.
The rounded table. That just rolls off the tongue.
Meredith,
yes.
I'm having so much fun that I forget that. What we want to do is promote your event tomorrow. And so one more time, the times and place and how people can access it.
Yes, and I think we're even going to show you. There it is. There is our website, philadelphiatangoschool.com. Yes, there's a nice little scroll of all the wonderful activities that have happened in the past. Like that was days before the pandemic when La Juan D'Arienzo was here playing for a full house. It was so at the Lithuanian Music Hall. But yes, I digress. When you scroll down, you see this Festivalito, which is the event this weekend, and you see all the activities happening Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you're going to join us in person, you could click that register for in-person activities link. But if you want to just attend the live stream, you can go a little bit further, you can scroll a little bit more, and there you have it. Register, what does it say? That one, for the El Arranque live stream. You can click that. Give it a good old click. And you see how, yeah, there we go. Can you click into that form? What's going on there? You're not logged into Google. So you would just, yes, so you just fill out that form, your first name, your last name, your email address, which is the main thing. And automatically you will get an email with the links that you need to participate. And there actually are two links. The one that you really need is the YouTube link, because that's how you're going to see and hear the concert.
Right.
And that's what you should, if you can, hook up to your speaker system at home, put on your big TV. But additionally, you will get a Zoom. Mm-hmm. The Zoom is video only. And the purpose of the Zoom is that if you like, you can watch people enjoying the music all over the world.
Wow.
And so if you join that and if you enable your camera, we ask you to also change your screen name. And you could say, Fernando Mendez in Philadelphia. And what you're going to see is people in Israel, in India, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Japan, in California, in Argentina, in Colombia. Wonderful. You can tell your people in Colombia.
I certainly will.
That are all watching together. And, that is I know that we're still inside the pandemic and it's a very complicated moment with Omicron and everything. Right. It's not that it's over, but as we at least have the opportunity to do some things in real life again, like here we are together in the studio for the first time in more than 2 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
As we have the chance to be together in person, it's so beautiful to not lose all of this innovation that we were forced to the things we were forced to create when we were locked in our homes.
Yes.
And so the idea that you can have a live stream of this extraordinary orchestra from Buenos Aires, and they're playing into our studio for people to have a real life experience and dance there. Right. But at the same time, people are dancing in other spaces, in group settings, in other parts of the world. And they're also watching or dancing from their homes in many more places. And that because of the Zoom, we can see each other and we can see that all of us are there enjoying it. But we also, if you're in my studio, you're also dancing with a real live person and sharing the experience. Oh, look, there's my friend in Israel. I can see them, that's amazing.
That's great.
It's an integrated experience of the virtual and the real life that we never would have imagined if this terrible pandemic hadn't happened.
Yeah, well, congratulations. This is a worldwide event celebrating tango.
It is. And fill out that form. And it's been so exciting to watch the form populate because people just keep registering from different countries. And it really is a worldwide experience.
And at this point in our lives, getting out of this COVID period. I mean, we're still, as you say, we're not out of it yet because of this Omicron. But by the way, and we should encourage anybody who's listening, if you're not vaccinated, go get a vaccine.
Please get vaccinated.
If you haven't had the booster vaccine, also
go get the booster.
Go get a booster.
It's so crucial. It
helps us all, because if you're not vaccinated, you're spreading the virus, and that's what people.
It's hard. I understand that it's hard. It's hard to understand because yes, it's true that breakthrough infections happen among people who are vaccinated, but the likelihood, for example, my husband got a breakthrough infection and I was living in the same house as him and he was so barely infectious that I didn't get sick.
Right.
And we really believe, I mean, I know people believe different things, but we 100% believe that if he hadn't been vaccinated, he would have had a much higher viral load for a longer time. And it's most likely that I would have gotten it and that he may have spread it to other people without knowing, you know? So yes, he got sick and yes, we had to quarantine and that sucked, but even I didn't get sick living in the same house. We didn't spread it to his elderly parents. We didn't get people at the Tango school sick. So even though he did get sick, being vaccinated, it helped us enormously.
Yeah. My friend David McDonald put up on Facebook the fact that he was vaccinated and all that, and he still got infected. But he said, I did not end up in the hospital and the symptoms were very mild.
Exactly.
So anyway.
And that's still true with Omicron, even though, you know, of course it's scary that the virus keeps mutating and things keep changing, but it appears that for vaccinated people, Omicron is very, very mild. So
you help yourself and you help us all.
Yeah.
So one final note on the events of Tango Days tomorrow, the celebrations. And so Meredith Klein has been here telling us, please join one more time.
Yeah, so it's a 3-day festival, the Festivalito, this Friday, which is today, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I didn't even say anything about Sunday, but we have events all 3 days. You can find out about them at PhiladelphiaTangoSchool.com. We do need people to be fully vaccinated. You can send your card in advance or you can bring it to the door, and you'll find lots of information and my contact info on the website. If you're confused about anything, just please reach out.
Well, thank you, Meredith. This is one of the best shows I have had in a long time. So, muchas gracias por su sintonía en el día de hoy. Se despide Fernando Mendez aquí en la mesa redonda en compañía de Meredith Klein. Dani Ramos controló la máquina digital. Los esperamos hasta la próxima.
Hasta la próxima. Gracias, Fernando.
Gracias. Greetings from the city of brotherly love. I am Fernando Mendez, host of the Roundtable. We invite you to listen to our discussion of the themes of the day when we bring you regional, national, and international news.